Without further ado, let me start off with introducing Alex Dorsch, Managing Director and CEO of Chalice Mining Limited. Alex joined Chalice in 2017 and was appointed Managing Director in November 2018. He has since led the company through an incredible growth period following the Julimar project delivery. I guess that's everybody knows about that. But Alex has a diverse experience in various leadership roles across the resources sector as a management consultant, engineer, project manager, and corporate advisor. Not sure if there's anything else left you can do, is there, Alex? I did meet Alex in another job previously. He worked as a specialist consultant with global management consultancy McKinsey & Company. He commenced his engineering career with resources giant BHP in Adelaide, and then spent over 6 years as an engineer in oil and gas exploration. So can I please introduce and ask Alex to come up to the podium and that's fine.
Thanks, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Great to be presenting at the Nickel conference again this year. Obviously, a very exciting time in the industry, as we heard from the presenters this morning. Chalice Mining, it's an incredible success story in Western Australia over the course of the last 2.5 years, really since our Julimar discovery. And as it says there, Julimar is really the right metals at the right time. Our forward-looking statements, these are available on our website should you wish to read in full. And we are here in person, so please come and see us at the booth if you have any further questions. So Chalice is a globally recognised name now in exploration. Our business is finding the mines, not finding just mineralisation or deposits, but find the mines and then reward shareholders. We have a high-performance, sort of results-driven culture. We don't we're not here just for the fun of it. We are really here to deliver results. And our purpose, like many in the room, is to find these critical minerals and these metals needed to decarbonise the world, and nickel obviously a very big part of that. And our aspiration is really to create something that's much, much bigger than Julimar. It's a world-class multi-district, so multi-Julimar green metals province right here in Western Australia, and certainly we're on track to do that. So it's a major new polymetallic critical minerals project in WA. It is a nickel sulfide asset, but it's just very blessed with a lot of other metals in this magmatic system as well. It's a tier 1 scale resource, 350 million tonnes at almost 0.6% nickel equivalent, 70% of which is in the indicated category. So we've done a lot of work, a lot of drilling in a very short time period over this resource to get to a very large contained metal number there, equivalent to about 2 million tonnes of nickel or 20 million ounces of equivalent palladium. It's just outside of Perth here, as you can see on the map. I think everyone knows where it is now. Quite an incredible story that something so large and so shallow could be left hidden there in plain sight. And really, it does have a very large footprint, a very large, resource base, but really our focus is initially the higher grade core of the system. So that higher grade component there, as it says, 82 million tonnes at 1% nickel equivalent, that extends from 30 metres below surface down to 700 metres, and we are in progress still defining and trying to find the limit to mineralisation in the system. So it's a strategic sort of resource for Western Australia and the country. These metals are obviously required in huge quantities, and so one of the key points you would have seen from CRU presentation this morning is that the grade of the discoveries, the grade of the mines is going to reduce dramatically over time as well, just because the price signal is going to be so obvious. It's 100% controlled by us. Our strategy here is that we will deliver a development and a feasibility study for the Gonville development, whilst we continue to explore the full scale of the mineral system and also continue to explore what is a completely new belt or a completely new mineral province here in WA. So we've got many rigs working for the company at the moment, 7 as I speak today. And the project has some very unique advantages in terms of infrastructure access, everything we need is really sort of on the doorstep of this project. So it makes it a very, very fascinating and unique asset to own. As I mentioned, it is a strategic asset. It's the first major PG discovery in Australia. All the metals essentially are classified as critical minerals by most governments. It is palladium rich, which makes it even more unusual and unique. Russia basically produces about 40% of the world's palladium, and that is a serious concern for the consumers of that metal. Russia also does about 20% of the Class 1 nickel. So for those who may have been seeing the commentary from the LME recently, there is discussion around banning those metals or banning Russian metals from the LME. That could seriously have big ramifications for these commodities. And the Australian government, like most Western governments, has recognised that the Western world needs to progress assets like this as rapidly as possible to production. Julimar, just on a nickel basis, it's the 4th largest undeveloped nickel sulphide resource in Australia. So you can see the chart there. It sits just behind Cosmos for the time being, but as I said, it is growing. We are still drilling on it, so I expect that it will become quite larger than Cosmos over time. On a nickel equivalent basis, it's around on par to the West Musgrave resource of Oz Minerals, which has obviously just recently been the target of some M&A activity from BHP. So it's a very desirable place to be in that Tier 1 league, and 560,000 tonnes of sulphide nickel is certainly an attractive proposition, just ignoring the byproduct credits. There was some discussion this morning, as you would have heard, on the sustainability side of nickel. This is a big issue for the industry. The massive wave of supply that's coming from Indonesia at the moment comes with about a 4.5 times the carbon intensity per unit of nickel. So Class 1 nickel is always going to have a significant advantage relative to laterite or saprolite sources, and Julimar is really sort of perfectly positioned. We're very close to the electricity grid in WA, which is greening rapidly over time. 560,000 tonnes of green nickel is certainly a very strong position to develop a mine on. And we expect that Class 1 sources in safe jurisdictions will ultimately command a premium. They won't be competing with the assets in other parts of or other less stable jurisdictions. So this is a schematic of the deposit. I think most have seen this by now. What is very unique about Gonville is that it basically starts at surface. The resource is defined in a single open pit at the moment, 1.9 kilometres in strike length, about 1 kilometre wide, and about 600 metres deep. But the mineralisation, as I said, is really still being in the process of being defined. So a significant amount of contained metals there, as you see. Really, this is going to become much, much larger over time once we continue really, and find the limit of this system. The higher grade core here as well is significant. For those who recall our discovery hole, the massive sulfides or the sulfide tenor here of Julimar is very, very rich, about 3% nickel, 1.5% copper, and around 10 grams per tonne PGMs. So really, that's the obvious material that we're fortunate is very close to surface, and that's what we're going to be starting to mine to begin with. Really, the prize is to find much, much more of that. And we know the system is capable of delivering massive sulfide accumulations, semi-massive, other high-grade areas. And so that's really why we continue to explore. And we're very fortunate that high-grade nature or the high-grade core of the system here allows us that optionality. It doesn't mean we have to chase the low-grade disseminated material from the outset. In terms of test work, this is a base metals project. So this is a nickel sulfide asset that just has very good byproduct credits in the form of copper, cobalt, platinum, and palladium. We're very fortunate that approximately 75% of the recovered PGEs report to a copper concentrate in the test work that we've done to date. And we've done quite a significant amount of test work over the course of the last 2 years to prove that. The nickel, cobalt, and approximately 25% of the PGMs go together into a nickel concentrate. And that's really the area that we're very interested to explore further processing options, as you've heard from IGO, BHP and others in the space. Really the prize is getting to a PCAM precursor product like a nickel cobalt MHP, and we're trialling, and we will trial really through the course of 2023, we will trial several technologies to achieve that step, basically do some more processing on the nickel con to split the copper and PGEs away from that product. We're fortunate as well, we got a grant of $3 million, or almost $3 million from the Commonwealth Government to progress that work. And I guess our knowledge of this flow sheet and our performance in terms of metallurgy is likely to improve over time as we get more and more understanding of the system. But as you'd appreciate, this is very, very unique in terms of mineralogy and the style of this system in the Australian context. The resource is open along strike on the left-hand side of that page, and you can see there the host intrusion in that faint purple. We really haven't drilled every corner of it yet before we even consider what's over the other side, but beyond the farmland. So it is open, and we're continuing work with 2 diamond rigs to continue to grow this resource in that gap, that 800-metre gap below the limit and down plunge of the limit of the resource at the moment. But really the prize here, and which is what has captured a lot of attention, is really this is a 30-kilometre long package of mafic, ultramafic geology, and that is a very unique thing to find in 2020. Most of those geological packages have been found in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. So very, very unusual to find one of these intrusive complexes in 2020. And really the prize is here, you know, the strike extension to the north of the resource, which, as you can see on that page there, just lies at the bottom of that figure. You'll see there's about 5.5 kilometres of strike length, you know, about 5 kilometres north of the resource, where every single drill hole we've put into that geology there has confirmed that it's identical to Gonville and it's full of sulphide mineralisation. So you can see the ultimate scale here of this system will be measured in tens of kilometres. It is still open there, you know, at 10 kilometres from the resource. So there is literally decades worth of exploration here to fully understand the scale of this system. There's 4 rigs working across that 10 kilometres of strike length at the moment. And importantly, we now had a very, very strong result from a 2D seismic survey that's really helped us now vector and identify where that prospective ultramafic unit is trending. So this is the 2 lines of 2D seismic that we shot just in the middle of this year. Really, on the left-hand side, you can see where the drilling has been. This is at the limit of the farmland. You can see that the Gonville intrusion is the prospective part, is that purple unit. That prospective basal contact position, or the base of that intrusion, is yet to be tested. There is a drill hole underway now to test that. And then 1.6 kilometres north, the same host unit is modelled. And to reiterate the importance of that, I guess everywhere we've intersected that geology on this project has delivered some form of sulphide mineralisation. So the hunt continues for the massive, semi-massive or higher grade parts of this system at depth. And that is obvious when you look at this belt. You know, it is in its infancy. It's 30 kilometres long. We have seen as well, you know, roughly 50 kilometres north of the resource, one of our partner companies, Caspian, has intersected very similar geology, very similar sulphide mineralisation. So we expect that over time those dots will be joined up. It's just that really the drilling just has not yet been done. There are a number of targets beyond that first, you know, 10 kilometres of strike length as well that we really are very interested in testing, and we will gain access to over time. The project is a significant one for the region already in terms of the businesses that we're contributing to, the community that we're working with. We're really interested here to bring the community along for the journey here. This can be an overwhelming benefit to this local community in terms of economic benefits, diversification of the economy, and obviously employment. And we're also, you know, doing exactly what we expect us to do as operators, as responsible operators, you know, establishing the environmental baseline, keeping our footprint and our impact to the environment down, as much as possible. And we recently delivered our biodiversity strategy in this year's annual report and sustainability report, which shows our commitment at this early stage to do the right thing on the environment and community side. So, initial drilling really along this Julimar complex is going to last a very long time. But what's coming up is the scoping study for the resource. That's going to be delivered late this year. Then we're going to be moving into pre-feasibility and obviously the regulatory approvals process to get that farmland constrained resource into production. But the most exciting thing, I think, if you're a speculator, if you like the nickel exploration side, is that really sort of the Agnew-Wiluna belt, which BHP spoke about, that really sort of wasn't discovered until 1965. Over the course of sort of that next 7 years, about 13 million tonnes of contained nickel sulfide was found. So that is a highly value accretive type of discovery in terms of province opening. We've got exactly the same events happening on the western side of WA, and we are very much in the driver's seat. And as it says there, don't think that we're just going to find more PGE mineralisation. Here the prize is this massive sulfide G1 style, Gonville style mineralisation, which grades 3.2% nickel, 1.2% copper, 10 grams per tonne PGMs. So all styles of mineralisation are possible in this area. So, a very, very exciting company to be a part of. We have a huge amount of exploration upside, as you would have seen. Really, we are motivated, and we are going to deliver on what we've promised. And certainly, please come up and chat to me if you'd like more information. Thank you very much.